Hello there, I'm Tabletop Toby. And, I have some news. I'm gonna die. It says it right here on my shirt. Let's sacrifice Toby. So, we know that's gonna happen. And we also know it's gonna happen because I'm playing Final Girl. And as anyone who has played Final Girl knows, you die a lot. Over and over until you finally succeed, and the rush and adrenaline and happiness you feel is overwhelming. But I love Final Girl because the way it's set up, it kind of tells a story. And sometimes even when you're dying, you can't help but laugh. And that for me is the joy. I've always loved horror movies. And yeah, I love that this series mimics movies and things that we've seen through time in the horror genre, and kind of allows you to play through them and have these different experiences. And it's kind of a simple setup, but it has a lot of flexibility, and they've really worked, especially in the second season, I feel, and amp things up in terms of tying the gameplay mechanics to the story and making you feel that. And it's pretty incredible. The Lore and Scenario book, which is a book that goes through and combines each of the locations with each of the enemies to create kind of a story that you go through. And they're kind of fun. So the Poltergeist one that we're playing with today in the Sacred Groves location is the classic Poltergeist, Carolyn being pulled into the TV, or I think maybe they say Caroline in the movie. So I guess we should use that pronunciation. Step into the light, Caroline. So with that combination, we're going to play the scenario. Only the gods can help her. So I'm going to read through this to get started. I've already set it up. I'm not going to do a how to play. I'll kind of talk about what I'm doing as I go through a little bit, but this is really focused on just the experience of seeing how the game operates, and pick up on it pretty quickly. The game flow is pretty clear. So let us experience Only the Gods Can Help Her. Upon the realization that the haunt was following Caroline. After what had happened at Happy Camp Trails, the Johnsons planned a desperate trip to try to rid her of her demons. They'd heard of a holy place in Africa that was open to visits from tourists. The magic in that sacred grove was said to be so strong you could physically feel it. They honestly felt like there was nothing left to lose, besides Caroline again, and they booked the flight. Had they only known what kind of gods they would be dealing with, they never would have entertained the trip for a second. Upon arrival, the couple took their daughter to the site. It was a long journey that led up to this moment, a moment of total disappointment. The site was in complete disrepair, and there were tourists everywhere desecrating and forsaking the place. A scream in the distance broke them out of the disappointing trance they had been in, and at that moment, they noticed Caroline was gone. Not again. So today we're doing the Poltergeist in the Sacred Groves. And speaking of dying, Sacred Groves is one of the most difficult locations. That location is almost like an enemy in itself. So I fully expect we'll die. If we die quickly enough, maybe we'll take a couple of attempts at it, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky this time. Sometimes you get lucky in Final Girl and things just kind of work out and it seems suddenly easy, but that's usually not the case. So for the scenarios in the Lore and Scenario book, they give you very specific setup instructions beyond the normal setup of just combining those two. So they tell you specifically what the first event is, what events go in there. They tell you what cards are going in the terror deck, which is the horrible things that happen on the enemy's turn. And they tell you any special rules with the item setup, etc. So it's a very curated experience. So with that, we're going to get going. All right, so this is me, the final girl. We are doing Alice today, and this is also dictated by the Lore and Scenario book. And yeah, this is the Poltergeist. And these are all the victims, in this case, apparently tourists in the sacred grove who are desecrating it. And you know what? We're going to save them anyway, even though they're being really rude and desecrating the sacred groves, which is probably why the sacred groves are mad anyway and trying to kill us and everyone. But I guess we'll save them anyway because they then give us special powers, and it would be nice to have those. The problem is going to be to see if we can get 6 victims before they're all killed away. Now, the win condition with the Poltergeist is actually a little bit different than the other enemies. With it, it actually has no life at all. Instead, we have to find Caroline and, in this case, not pull her back out of the TV, but pull her back out of wherever she is. I don't know, hanging out in the grove. She ran off in the woods and doing who knows what. And so we got to find her and we got to get her to the exit. And once we do that, we win. The problem is you have to go through these item decks and find her, and you have to buy search cards to make that happen. And I just realized I didn't unsleep all these, so they didn't have a reflection. So back in a second. All right, and we're back. And I could have, started over and done that again, but it wouldn't be as funny. So I'm going to leave that in. Just a couple of other notes. I am playing with the box of props, which is something that was available with the Kickstarter, and now you can buy in stores. Actually, they released it in retail, which is where I got it. And what happens when you save the 6 victims and you can unlock the special ability is you can instead, if you want, take one of these ultimate dice that give you additional roll potentials for specific things like healing, searching, giving you more time, more movement, reducing horror, more hits. And so you can kind of think strategically about what the best option would be for your scenario, or maybe you decide to take the ultimate ability. But the thing is, we have to save those 6 victims first, so that may not be a choice we even have to make. It also has the desperate die, which you can use as an extra die if you're really about to die anyway. Maybe it's worth it. But when you roll it, if you roll this death die, you die and the scenario immediately ends. So pretty brutal, but could be worth it. And then it also has extra action cards. So this parkour is that, which I love some of the terminology and things that they throw in here. It's just very comedic. So parkour, you get to move and you get to jump over any spaces with victims or with the poltergeist in it in this particular case, which is very good for movement. It allows you to move around the board quickly. So I thought that would be a good one for that. And with all of the box of props, like some people think it makes it easier, but I just think they're fun. And that's really kind of what this is about. And it still honestly doesn't make the game that much easier. There are some even easier rules you can implement, but I just really love the options. I love options. And so thinking about how things are going, maybe we'll do the ultimate dice, maybe we'll do the special ability, who knows? Maybe parkour will be helpful, but when all the victims are dead, it's probably not that helpful. And there are additional cards in this case with the Sacred Groves, because the Sacred Groves has this very fun and painful mechanic. Like I said, it is a enemy in itself, and that is the Divine Wrath, which starts down at 2, so I must have hit that at some point. So what happens is this goes up and down, which can happen when you go up this track, when victims die and you have horror. And So that can happen there. There are cards that increase it. And when that happens, when the Divine Wrath activates, then you get these other horrible things that happen to you on top of the horrible things that are happening anyway. So, and the enemy that goes with the Sacred Grows in the box that it comes with also has a similar mechanic. So playing those two together is brutal. I think it's universally recognized as one of the more challenging setups. But people say that playing them separately can be easier, but sometimes it's not. So we'll find out today. So all that said, let's dive in. We start with these 6 cards. I'm going to put all the cards over here. One of the things that I always like to do, because with this horror track, right now we can roll 2 dice anytime we're taking any action, but if we could roll 3, that would be great. In this focus card, which hopefully you can see that, it allows us to reduce the horror. So we will try to do that right away. And that's a pretty good roll. So that's 1 success. And this means we can discard 2 cards to get another success. In this case, it would not only reduce the horror, but give us more time, which is also a resource to buy better cards. And if we could do that early on, that would be great. So Weak Attack, which is one of the starting cards, is a good one for us to discard now. We have to discard 2 in order to make this a success. And also Short Rest, because Weak Attack we're going to discard because the Poltergeist has no health. There are some little minions and things that can appear, but right now they're not there. In Short Rest, we're at full health, so neither of those do anything for us right now. So we're going to reduce that horror and then get 2 extra time. Now, because we have that extra time, I'm going to go ahead and try another focus, because if we can get down to 1, then we get to roll 3 dice, which is potentially better for us. So we're going to try to focus again, and now we got 2 successes, which is amazing. So we get to reduce the horror again, and we get 2 more times. So we're going to have a lot of purchasing power this turn. That is an amazing start to this game. And then we just need to walk. Now, something with the Sacred Grows is that if these sacred spots have victims in them and certain events happen, then this moves up even faster, which is horrible. These things are all really, really horrible. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's running right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the closer exit though. So I guess we'll try for that. We're gonna walk. We get a roll 3 now. And 1 success and 2 of those. That's not great. We don't have any cards to discard anymore. So we do go down 1 time, which is a resource on some of the cards. Move up to 1 space. So not great, but that's what we have. We can buy some sprint cards or that parkour card at the end of this round, when you can buy cards. For your first round, you always only have those 6 starter cards, so that's what you got to work with that first round. So we're going to walk again, and 1 more success. So we eat up another time, and we only get a move 1 space. So that was not, the 3 dice didn't really help us a lot. But that's the way things go in this final girl world. Life, as I mentioned, is very hard. Okay, so now we move into the planning phase, which is where we get to buy cards from the card market. We have a lot of time right now, which is good for us to buy more expensive cards. We right now have no cards in our hand at all. So we got to make sure we can move, which is the most important thing for us. So I think right now it's going to be focusing on those. So sprint is going to be 1, 2. Another sprint is going to be 1, 2. I think we're going to go ahead and do the parkour, which is 1, 2, 3. And that only leaves 1. You can't carry anything else over. So we're going to do close call, which allows us to re-roll dice potentially. And then this gets set up to 6. And then it is the Poltergeist turn. So you always do this action up here, which in this case is target the closest final girl or victim and move 2 towards them and then try to slash at someone in their spot. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there's a tie and we have to break that. There's different tiebreaker options. One is whatever the funniest is, which often coincides with what's the worst thing for you. And that's the general rule I go by. What's the worst thing? And sometimes it's just really funny. In this case, my evaluation is that it's worse for us for the poltergeist to go in this direction because it puts them closer to the most victims. So they're going to move 1, 2, and then we turn over the horror card, which is the next phase. So Fury of the Gods, that sounds fun. And it's another event. So there's a starting event we didn't talk about, which is loud and obnoxious. So this annoying divine wrath track goes up an additional 1 anytime something happens. So we'll see if that happens now. Oh, so this is a special victim. The Uber tourist. Hello, my name is Franz. No, I am not shouting. This is my normal voice. So the victim furthest from the killer is now the Uber tourist. Whenever the killer must choose a target, the Uber tourist is chosen instead. If the Uber tourist is saved, decrease divine wrath by 4. If the Uber tourist is killed, increase it by 4. So this is potentially a tool for us. And so now we have to figure out who is the furthest tourist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the one with us is actually the furthest. That was just one of the many things on this card. So increase, oh, here we go. The Divine Wrath, that fun track, by the number of victims on sacred spaces. So of course, we haven't even had a chance to move them yet. And here's 1, 2, and with the loud and obnoxious, that's going to be 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we may want to go ahead and save the Uber tourist right away because that will reduce this down to 0 so we don't face some of those bad consequences. Now, the thing that is not good is if they're targeting them and we move that way, then they might end up in this space. They're probably going to end up in a space with a victim anyway. So in Final Girl, you definitely cannot save them all. It is not possible. So you have to, there are acceptable losses, as they say in the war world. Oh, and there's still more. We haven't done all of this. The Fury of the Gods is still continuing. Unleash the Divine Wrath, which is reduce this by 4. So it's good we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Lots of time to purchase cards last time because we are not going to have lots of time next time, but we will get all of our cards back, which we should have moved back into the tableau there at the end of the player phase, but we've done it now, so we're all good. And the last thing is increase wrath by the number of victims at spaces. Oh, this is why Sacred Grubs kills me. It just kills me. Just like these children are trying to kill me. Oh man. So that's going to be 1, 2 more for the number of victims at sacred spots, plus the 1 extra for the loud and obnoxious. Wow. So the next time it's unleashed, it's discard 2 random action cards, and time goes down by 5 5. Oh no. I think we're going to die fast. I don't know. There's then a panic phase, which only occurs when the enemy has killed a victim and there's victims in the same spot. We don't have that right now. So can we get them saved to that spot? I think we're just going to have to accept that the poltergeist is going to get a victim this turn. And we're just going to have to try to do the best we can. So we don't want to do parkour yet, which is skipping over victims or killers, because we actually want to go through the spots to get, you can only bring 2 victims with you at a time. So I think we just want to sprint. So we still have 3 die, which is good. Only 1 success. But it does allow us to move 2 spaces with sprint. So I think that's what we're going to have to do. Move 2 spaces. So we're going to move 1, 2 to guarantee we can get some victims. Saved. We'll also get some time back if we do that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to sprint again. So we have another success. So that allows us to move 2. I think we're going to hold on to that close call for now. So we're going to move here as 1. These are automatically saved when you're with them. They are either scared or stupid and will not save themselves, even if they flee to exit. But thankfully we're with them. So we get 2 time back, which is good. Oh, actually we forgot to go down the 1 time for the sprint. And then now we go back up 2. And then because of this Uber Tourist card, we get a decrease Divine Wrath by 4. And then this goes away. We get to heal 1, but it doesn't matter. So we get to go down by 1, 2, 3, 4. So just less terrible awfulness. Parkour doesn't help us right now because we're trying to save victims. So that might have been a stupid purchase. I wasn't thinking about how that card operated when I chose it, so it may not help us at all. It's good we have so much time now, right? No, we don't. So I think that's going to be the end of our turn, which is only going to leave us with 2 time to purchase cards, but we get to purchase all of these 0 starting cards. So we're going to have lots of cards now. So we get our walk back. Get our focuses back, weak attack, short rest, all of the starter cards, and then the 2 cards we purchase. And so we can purchase 1 more. Right now, guard doesn't make sense because they're not going to be focused on us. So we only have 2. So we really have search and guard, or close call. If we get close call, that's 1, and then we only have 1 left, and you can't carry time over, so that's not an efficient choice, and we already have close call. Searches, we're going to need to find Caroline. So while we have the time and aren't in imminent danger of the poltergeist attacking us to make guard worth buying, we're going to go ahead and use 2 time to purchase search as an investment towards our main winning goal objective. So the cards that we played go back into the card market, and then it's the poltergeist turn. So target the closest victim, because now the Uber Tourist is gone. So it's going to be the one right next to it, which is 1. It attacks for 1, however, it's automatic, and that's against both you and the victim. So this victim just automatically dies. And that means this goes up, and we have to activate all these things. So we have to increase horror by 1, which means we can now only use 2 dice. And we have to also do this, increase Divine Wrath by the number of victims on spaces, which is still 2, and then the extra for loud and obnoxious. So 1, 2, 3. So we're back up there again. And we have to do one of the tarot cards. This is everything was flying around. So we have to increase horror again. place the poltergeist with the closest victim or in your space if there are no victims. So the poltergeist is flying around. In this case, it's going to choose the thing that's worse for us, which is going to be to move here with this just fountain of tourist victims. And then it's going to attack. So only once though, I guess. So that's good. So that's another dead victim. This now activates the Dark Power, which also is not going to be good for us. In the regular game, you shuffle these and it's whatever, but in this game it was predefined and it is Stiff Wind. All of your moves of 2 or more are reduced by 1 space. So now it's going to be even harder for me to move around. So there's that. Now we do have a panic phase in this time because the poltergeist did kill a victim and there are victims there. So for each one of these, we have to roll and see where they run to. So this one is going to go here. The second one is going to go great to the Sacred Grove. The third one is going to go to the other Sacred Grove. This is going to go also there. And then this one is going to go up. Alice's advanced things are to move additional spaces, so that could be very helpful. And getting the special ability or the ultimate dice, depending on what you choose, is always helpful. You need everything you can get to win, especially in Sacred Groves, I think. Some people like the brutality of it. I'm mixed. Sometimes I enjoy it. Sometimes I just can't. We did not reset this to 6, which we should have. And then I'm going to do the focus trick to try to get us back to the 3 die, maybe. We could discard 2 to get a success. If we don't, we lose 2 time, which is pretty painful. Well, I think it was a huge mistake to choose parkour, so we're going to discard parkour, and we're going to do the discard attack, because that's also not useful for us right now. So that makes this a success, which is only going to cost us 1 time, and we get to go down 1 horror. So let's see if we can do the other one and maybe get to 3 dice again. So there we go. 1 success, which is another time, and then we get to go down. So now we get to use 3 dice, and let's see if we can walk. Which movement in this game can be challenging, but this game is all about challenge. If you don't like challenge, you should definitely not play Final Girl. So we have 1 success. Now what's fascinating, because of Stiff Wind, all of your moves of 2 or more are reduced by 1. The most I can move with walk is 2. So it doesn't make any sense to spend anything extra to get another success, because I still will only be able to move 1. So we're going to move 1 to try to get these 2. And then we're going to walk again. And moving that 1 did reduce us by another time. Walk again. 3 successes, which doesn't get us anything because you can only move up to 2. So we do get to move back and save 2 more victims. So this one is going to heal us 1, which does not help us. This one is take a cost 2 or less action card. So it allows us to take a card for free from the market. So we still have to go down by 1, even with the 2 successes. So we're only going to have 2, and we use both of our walks already. So we're going to use that unlocked ability to purchase Sprint. I think we're going to stop there then. So you can choose when you want to stop. You don't have to play all your cards. And the reason you would want to do that is because then you can use your remaining time as a resource to buy cards. In this case, we want to use those last 2 to buy another Sprint. So hopefully we can save the last 2 victims and get our ultimate ability and have something to help us survive. We'll see. So this resets to 6. We put these cards that we played back into the card market, and then it is the Poltergeist turn. So they're going to move 2. So they're always going to pick one of the ones that they choose if there's more victims. So they're going to go here. They're going to attack for 1. So that's going to move this up here. And then, which is another unleash. Discard 1 random action card. The horror goes up by 1 and you lose 2 times. So lose 2 times. The horror goes up by 1. And we have to shuffle these and discard 1. Okay, we're going to discard sprint. Great. The one thing we wanted to do was to move. So perfect. So that was the main move. And now we have to do the terror card, which is Rage of the Gods. So we get another event. The Holy Man. So it's another special victim. What kind of insane pilgrimage is this dude on? The victim furthest from the killer is now the Holy Man. The Holy Man will not follow you. Every upkeep phase, move the Holy Man 1 space towards the killer. When the Holy Man is in the same space as the killer, immediately remove him from the board. If you were in his space, decrease Divine Wrath by 1. If you were not in his space, increase Wrath by a total of 10. Wow. If the Holy Man leaves play, discard this card. I need to try to be in the space with the killer when the Holy Man meets him, or we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Fortunately, the benefits of doing that aren't that great. It's just reducing the Divine Wrath by 1, but the consequences are very bad. That being said, we're already at level 8, so we don't have that much worse to go. So the victim furthest from the killer is now the Holy Man. So it is the one closest to me. It's replaced. And then we have to do the rest of the terror card. Ooh. Increase wrath by the number of victims at holy spaces. So we're already going to reach the top of the track with this before the Holy Man even comes into the picture. So, okay. There's 4 in the 2 different sacred lands. We increase by 1 more than that, so that's 5. So we're all the way at the top. Okay. Place the killer holy spot with the most victims in your space if none remain. So it can just stay in that spot, and he's going to attack twice. So that's going to be 1. This goes up by 1. So that's terror. Goes up by 2. And increase by the number of victims at holy space as well. We're already at the top of the track, so that doesn't matter. Killer's attacking a second time, and that's going to move that up by 1, which means that the killer, the poltergeist, will now move 3 spaces instead of 2. So much more mobility to kill the rest of these victims before I can do anything about it. That is everything. And then it is the upkeep phase. So during the upkeep phase, the Holy Man will move 1 towards the killer. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be 1. And then on this next phase, so the Holy Man's in the same space. Remove. Now, we don't actually care that much right now if he does that or not. But the only issue is we lost our sprint card. He's going to move towards the closest victim. If we can move, we can make these two victims be further away, so that way the killer will go after the holy man. So what we're going to do is we are going to sprint. You're down to 2 dice. And this is our best option, so let's see what happens. We need... Okay, so we don't want to lose the potential of success, so we are going to use close call. Let's do that. And we're just going to roll this one, because then we could potentially still use this search. So that doesn't help us. Okay, so we're going to have to use both of these to pay to get 1 success, which takes us down time 1. And then we get to move 2 spaces. So 1, 2. He's still going to come for us. I needed the 3. Oh. So we can move 2. So it says the holy man will not follow you. Problem is, the killer always attacks the victims before you. So the problem is, when the killer kills another one, it's going to unleash, which is going to discard all cards except atonement. So if we know that he's going to kill someone next time, wonder if we should just focus on buying atonement. The question is, where are we moving? So he's going to go for the victims, most likely. She, actually, I feel. So should we just go and be ready to search whenever we can do that? Killer might only kill 1, but we're not going to be able to get our ultimate, because the holy man is not savable, because the holy man won't follow me. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2. You know what? The tourists are annoying. Let's let them go anyway. Okay. And then we have 3 time left. So since we're going to have to discard everything except for atonement, most likely, if the poltergeist attacks one of the victims, which it most likely will. Actually, it definitely will kill one of those. Then we're going to spend 2 time to buy an atonement. All of our free cards, of course. And we'll be able to get the Divine Wrath track pretty low after this discard situation. So we might as well spend the other time to buy a close call so we can make it go down even further, because it goes down at level 10 by the number of cards you discard. So we gotta play this system a little bit. So I think that's all we can do. This gets reset to 6. These cards go back in here. We're not going to be able to move next time. And then the killer is going to move 3, 1, 2, and kill one of them, which is going to make this go up, which is going to unleash, which means discard all action cards except for atonement. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and decrease by the number of cards discarded. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we knew that was going to happen. And then that's that main move. So now we have to do a terror card. So, oh gosh. All right, buck up. Unleash, which is discard 1 random action card, which we only have 1, so now we don't even have the atonement. Unleash again, but we have no action cards, so I guess that's fine. And then target the closest victim. So that's going to be this last victim. This is going to go up by 1. Horror goes up by 1. And then we get the last event, which is the tour guide. And if you look to your right, you'll see, oh my, that's horrifying. Perhaps we should take a different route. The victim closest to you is the tour guide. The question is, if they're already a special victim, do they now convert? So I'm going to have to look this up, actually. I don't know if I've ever had this happen. All right, so it says some cards will require you to add or replace a victim on the board with a special victim. Unless their card specifies otherwise, special victims are treated exactly like normal victims for all gameplay purposes. Unless the cards are treated exactly like normal victims for all gameplay purposes. So because they are still a victim, they're treated that way, then I do think that the Holy Man becomes a tour guide. Once per turn, whenever you move at least one space, you may move an additional space as long as the tour guide remains with you for your entire movement. If the tour guide is killed, increase Divine Wrath by 6. Tour guide leaves play, discard this card. So the Holy Man left play, so that card goes away. And then it's upkeep phase. There's no panic victims because there's no victims with the killer. So now the question is, do I not worry about the tour guide, or do I try to grab them so I can actually move around faster? But the killer can move 3 now, so he's going to get to me pretty quickly. I guess in the end, it doesn't matter because I have no action card, so I actually don't really have much of a choice this turn. All I can really do is buy cards. So we get our short rest because it's free. So the tour guide is dead. And we're going to go all the way back up to the top of the Divine Wrath track. So we need to try to find Caroline. So we're going to buy 1 search card for 1, 2. Second search card for 1, 2. And we're really going to hope that she is in the spot and we get good rolls. Could try to run. Well, or do we just search the heck out of this one? We are going to get our walks back the next turn. Okay, I think we need to try to do the atonement thing because we know it's going to go up to the top. And then if it's unleashed, we're going to have to discard all of our action cards and not be able to do anything again. But it is also discard all except for atonement. So it wouldn't hurt to at least have the one that's available to purchase in there. So that's going to be our last card. So this resets to 6. And then these all go back in the market. So the killer is going to move here, kill this one. This is going to go up by 1. So now, well, I guess even last turn the Poltergeist could already move 4, so it doesn't matter. Then we have to do a terror card. Wow. Okay. There are no victims on the board. Discard and draw the next terror card. Okay. I guess that's actually good for us. So we now have to draw the next one, though. Carolyn, where are you? If Carolyn is not with you, discard and draw the next terror card. Okay. So we're burning through the tarot card deck. Carolyn, where are you? If Carolyn is not with you, discard and draw the next tarot card. Okay. So we're almost through already. Everything was flying around, so increase horror by 1. Place the poltergeist with the closest victim or in your space if there are no victims. Oh no. And attack. And the poltergeist now attacks for 3. We have no defense, so we are down to 1 life already. It's been nice knowing you all, but the children, the small children who want to sacrifice me are probably going to succeed. Yes, they are. Okay. We are really going to hope that we find Carolyn on this turn. And we do, because we're down to 1, get an extra die. So I guess there's good news. So we are at the groundkeeper's shed. So there's 4 item cards in each. If we get 2 successes, then we get to draw the top 2 item cards. Let's hope for 2 successes. And no. We did forget to increase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way up to the top because the tour guide, when the tour guide dies. So take care of that. If we spend 2 cards, we do have short rest, but we can only heal by 2. And they hit for 3. So, but if we do failure, horror increases by 1. The crazy thing is we can't even walk this turn, so even if we find Carol Ann, we can't take her to safety. Oh man. But if we only roll 1, so we technically be able to roll 2 because we get the bonus. But we still don't get the top item. If Divine Wrath is unleashed, though, we're not going to be able to move the next turn either. Alright, well, I think we have to hope that this has hearts on the other side. This is something that happens. You draw these at random without looking at the bottom, and you flip them over when your last health is gone. And like in the horror movies, you may have one last shot. And that's also true of the killers who have life. The Poltergeist does not have life. The only way that you defeat the Poltergeist is by finding Carol Ann and getting her to safety. So that's not relevant for them, but it is relevant for us. If we have hearts there and find Carol Ann in this search round and can move next time, the problem is if Divine Wrath is unleashed and we have to discard all of our movement cards, then we're not going to be able to do it. But don't know what else to do this time. Healing isn't going to help us because there would only be 2. So we're going to do that. Take the top card, which is a whip, which is completely useless to us because you can't even damage the Poltergeist. So we made one of those a success, and time does go down by 1. And then we're going to search again. So the question is whether we use our Desperation die to try to get 2 successes so if we can see if Carol Ann's in there. We replace one of our red die with the Desperation die. And if we roll the skulls, then the game's immediately over. So we only got 1 success. That means we go down 1 time. We get to take the top item, which is a prayer book. When you play Atonement, add 1 success to your roll. The Desperation die we only get to use once per game. We didn't die, so that's good. And that's it. We have no cards left. So we have 4 time. Just moves both of the searches. So I guess we could do Atonement as 1 and Sprint as another because we need to either move to another spot or something. We may have to discard this if Divine Wrath is triggered anyway. We can do all of our free cards. This resets to 6. These all go back in the card market. And then the killer attacks me for 3 again, so we have to hope that there's some life in this. And there's not. So I did, in fact, get killed. Not by small children, unless the poltergeist appears in the form of small children, which is possible. And so that's final girl.